Okay, I just saw that.
What's that?
I don't know if it said we were unable to record, and now we're recording. But
Okay.
I don't know how long that's been there. I'm hoping it was.
That's okay.
All right.
So this class is a lot more talking, but you know what? I think we need to do a meditation. So, you guys okay if we do a meditation? Okay.
Kind of reeling from the deja vu I just had while you were talking a few minutes ago. I'm just like, whoa. So yes, I do.
Okay. So this isn't the formal part of this class, but it's always really, really good to do this. I'm going to teach you a teacher meditation. Some of you may have done this before, but I love it, so let's do it. So just get super, super comfortable. Louis, are you okay sitting like that? Do you need anything? Okay.
No, I'm fine too.
Okay. So most important thing is that your spine is straight. Hands where you don't have to worry about them. So maybe just resting. Yeah. Shoulders down, heart lifted, chin level. Your tongue is kind of at the top of the back of your teeth. And gently, gently close your eyes. Okay. I'll try not to cough too much. So just settle your breath. Let go of the day. Let go of the journey to come here tonight. Let your mind really withdraw from the outside world. And imagine that you're sitting in a beautiful empty room that is overlooking a vista of like a valley. Like you're kind of high and you're looking, if you looked out the window, it would be overlooking this valley. Maybe there's mountains on the other side. But it's a beautiful sunlit day and you can just feel the light coming in, but it's not uncomfortable. And you settle down to sit in meditation and you just get a sense that you're in a golden room. The sunlight coming in is golden. You're feeling very much at peace and at rest. And you're wanting to create the causes to bring your teacher to you, to be able to be with a being who can help you achieve your highest goals. So as you're sitting here enjoying the dappled light of the golden room, you notice that there is a being coming in to sit in front of you, but the room gets even brighter as if this light is coming off of them, so you can't really see their face, but you sense the presence. You sense the love coming off of them, and they sit down facing you so close that you can feel their knees touching yours. You can smell the scent of sandalwood coming off of their skin. You can feel the warmth of their breath as they sit down in meditation with you, facing you. And just get a sense that they're really there. And it's almost as if this golden room gets even more golden from the light of their love shining onto you. Just bask in that for a bit. Beg them to teach you. Ask them to bless you with their wisdom. Ask them to always stay. Ask them to teach you in all of the myriad of ways that they can throughout your day. And because you've asked, they happily agree. And they become even brighter because they're so thrilled that you've asked. And their love becomes even more golden until they are completely golden light and they melt right into your heart. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. That's a useful contemplation to do, actually, even if you don't know who your teacher, capital T, is, to just get a sense of the feeling of the best of them. And it's also a really nice way to start your day. So, the original Magic of Empty Teachers was given over the few days that Geshe-la came out of silent retreat and just taught, right? Lama Marut, who is going to be here later this week, took those teachings and, being the experienced professor that he is, he was a professor of comparative religions at the university level for many years, over 20 years. And he says he doesn't know how to fix scars or do this, that, or whatever, but what he does know is the mechanics of teaching, because that was his career, like that was his profession, right, for over 2 decades. And so what he so kindly did for us was take Geshe-la's 3-day, basically, stream of consciousness and formalize it into the 10 classes that we'll be able to unpack for the next little while. So really, he wanted to reiterate what Geshe-la said, is that this is the teacher training school. This is everything we teach here. You are intended to teach to someone else. Maybe not, don't get all freaked out that, oh no, now I have to go and teach 20 people, right, in a formal, I don't even remember how to do this thing with my fingers, right? It's not about that. It's whatever you find rings true for you. If you can share it with one other person, we call them Starbucks teachings or coffee house teachings, where if you can share that and help one other person perhaps alleviate their own suffering, maybe they're all twisted up in knots over someone they're mad about, and if you can help them understand that twisted up knotty feeling is not caused by this other person, this other person may be the conduit through which that message is coming through. But if you can actually just help them understand what we call the pen thing, this is a straw, but the pen thing, then you will have done more for them than most of the teachers in their life so far, because you will have taught them a healthier, different way of viewing their reality. And that's pretty special. And to be able to do that in a way that someone can hear it, they might not retain it for the first time. They say we have to hear this 7,000 times before we get it, right? But it's okay. Because you know what? This is empty. This can be my pen. Actually, does not mean this can be anything I want it to be. Like, I can't will this to be a pen, right? But for the intents of this demonstration, it's fine. But again, you can just teach this, like Leonardo's trying to lend me a pen because that's the way we teach it. I can tell someone about the pen as a way of trying to explain karma and emptiness. And anyone here who's been to more than one of my classes can probably do that in about 5 minutes. That's teaching. That's teaching something of value to someone. So that's what this whole program is for. And more importantly, though, for those of you who are on the ACI track, this class is really about the resources that you should arm yourself with so that you can be the best teacher possible, so that you're not a lineage stopper. At the end of the stairwell, there's a lineage map that shows all of the teachers in this particular lineage, and at the bottom there's a blank space and it says you. And because everything that's downloaded, you're the next one, right? And don't let it stop with you. Doesn't mean you have to be teaching a room of 100 people or more, right? But if you can continue to pass it on to one person and they might pass it on to another person, you have kept it going. So, so the first thing we already talked about, in order to learn anything, we need a teacher, right? And the cause, which I told you before too, is the cause for creating the teacher you want is to serve them. Lama Maria just wanted to remind us that, you know, it really is different from getting a teaching live, one-on-one, with a teacher that you can interact with, and just getting it out of a book. I mean, right now we have so much information accessible to us, especially with these things, right? Like, I can Google anything, practically. And on one hand, it's an amazing resource, but on the other hand, it really cannot give you the experiential knowledge that comes through a living being who has, and that's why even with these classes, yes, you can listen to it online or get it, the transcripts, and it's precious, but if you can hear it live, there is an added layer of energy, a different prana that gets exchanged in the process. They call it lung in Tibetan, the wind that carries an energy, and it's physical, actually. So if you are doing your homeworks, and this is actually a really, really good tool for meditation, if you want to get better at meditation, is to memorize something. And what we specifically are tasked with is to memorize the first verse in the Lam Rim by Jetsun Kappa. And it's from his short Lam Rim, The Source of All My Good. I think there might be copies in the back of the Source of All My Good printout. We'll look for it after class. But it goes, the source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Is that how it goes? Yeah. Let me serve. You know what? I'll send you the exact stanza so that I'm not ruining it totally. Leonardo's got to look. Source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord.
6 times book.
Yeah. Bless me first to. How's it go again? So I have to memorize it, but it's really, really good. It's good to have it memorized. I actually had the whole thing memorized at one point. There's 14 stanzas. Thanks, Zoe. Oh, don't worry about it. I can email it to everybody.
And I've got the first few memorized too, and then I went blank.
Yeah, it goes, the source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me to serve.
Bless me first to bring myself to him in the
proper way.
proper way.
And yeah, that's right. So there is, anyways, that's the first stanza. It's only a few lines. And it's really, really
It's beautiful.
good to memorize it. Actually, I might have it right here because it is important. There we go. Okay, repeat after me.
Okay.
The source of all my good
The source of all my good
is my kind Lama, my Lord.
is my kind Lama, my Lord.
Bless me first to see
Bless me first to see
that taking myself to Him
that taking myself to Him
in the proper way
in the proper way
is the very root of the path.
is the very root of the path.
And grant me then
And grant me then
to serve and follow Him
to serve and follow Him
with all my strength and reverence.
with all my strength and reverence.
And I give you permission to change that to her if your teacher happens to be female form in this life. And sometimes, like, I have one of each, so I just use whatever. It's this was written in a certain monastic vernacular, right? But it doesn't really matter as long as you get the energy. The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to Him in the proper way is the very root of the path, and grant me then to serve and follow Him with all my strength and reverence. It is a really beautiful thing to memorize and to just have that in your mind for the next little while. You know, even as you do that golden room meditation, to have those words like trickling through is really beautiful. So that's actually the first homework question. And
Is to memorize it or to write
to
it
memorize it.
down?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it for a while.
Yeah. And that's all. You just have to memorize the first stanza.
Oh, the first time.
That whole thing that I just read to you. That's the first stanza. That's the first of 14. I was so inspired by this when I first took it that I memorized all 14. But I have to say that since then, I haven't, like for about a year I had it, but if you don't recite it, you lose it, right? And I have since replaced it with the Heart Sutra, which is a lot longer. So
I have your song on my iTunes. It's beautiful.
and that's another thing. If you can put these things to music, it's a lot easier to remember. You know how easy it is to remember the lyrics to a song, right? So a lot of the ways that many of us here have committed stuff to memory is to put it to music. Okay, so that's the first thing. And even if you're not going to do the homeworks and quizzes, I really recommend memorizing that one little phrase and using it kind of in your practice for the next little while. And then, you know, you'll move on when you need to. But it's a really beautiful thing to have in your mental Rolodex, into that soundtrack that plays back there. And this is our translation from Geshe Michael, because that stanza has been translated by a variety of people, and each one will translate them in their own way. But I like the rhythm of the way he translated that.
What does the word Lord mean in this sense?
It just is basically it just means Lama. It just means my teacher. My Lord means my, it's not Lord necessarily in the Christian term of God, but it is referring to someone with reverence. It is referring to my Lama as someone who I see as divine. So it's actually not far from the Lord, right? But it also is in there because of the poetic cadence, and there was probably a Tibetan word or a Sanskrit word in there that had a very similar etymological meaning, is what I can guess. Because the way that I've seen Geshe-la translate before is to give you the essence of it, and then to still have it work in verse, so that it still flows poetically. My kind Lama, my Lord. Yeah, it really is underlying the level to which you are elevating this being in your life. Because ultimately your teacher, okay, I'm going to jump to I think I'm jumping like 8 classes, but the thing I said earlier about how ultimately we're supposed to see everyone as our teacher, ultimately we're supposed to see everyone as the capital T teacher, which means the Buddha. And the Buddha is God, basically, for lack of a better word. We don't believe in a creator deity the way it's classically taught in Christianity, but we do believe in omniscient, enlightened beings who know all things and know all time and space, and who can ultimately help us. But they can only help you. The only way a Buddha can help you is to teach you how to help yourself. So the Buddha, or any enlightened being, is the ultimate teacher, capital T teacher, and that is how ultimately we will see everyone when we are enlightened. But we won't see them that way. See, this is the catch. This is the real, where the real magic happens, and at a lower level. When I say lower, is when we can't see anyone as our teacher. This can be really discouraging because everyone around us can look like a schmuck, but it just means that we have really schmucky lenses through which we are looking, right? It's like when my glasses get all like mucked up, but that's all I can see at this point. When I can clear up the seeds that I have planted in me, then my lens clears up. Like what I am seeing outside of me is not outside of me. There's data outside of me, but how I interpret that data comes from me. It comes from my perspective, my subjective perspective. It's the only perspective you have is coming from you. I can tell you all the blah blah, that's what I said before, right? But how you hear me, only you uniquely can know that. And like all of you are hearing the exact same words, you're not hearing the exact same thing. It's resonating differently for each and every one of you. Right? I used to be an art dealer for many years, and I used to see this often in people looking at paintings or describing paintings. Like if I was trying to describe a painting to a client and they hadn't seen it, they couldn't see it, most of the time. And even going to an art show with a friend, we would be looking at exactly the same thing, and we would have absolute different ways to describe it to a third party. Like we could possibly be describing a completely different painting. Even the colors were different. You know what I mean? It's because we go through the filter of our own seeds, right? We actually are, and the painting isn't out there for us to interpret actually. What is out there is a vehicle through which we can receive whatever ripening we need to receive in the moment, and how we receive it comes from us. Sorry, I totally advanced to the end of this course, but that's where the finding a Lama and seeing them as a Lord or as the Lord is actually not a trick of language. That is ultimately how we want to see them. It's not that you should force yourself or pretend to see them that way, although there's the fake it till you make it practice too. Act as if, and then you can become, but it is about leaving yourself open to the possibility that you might be in the grace of God. You might just have the karma to be able to do that. Because ultimately, when you are about to get enlightened, you are going to be there. And then you will be God yourself. Like you will be enlightened, right? And everyone around you will be enlightened. And everyone will be teaching everyone else. And it will just be wisdom. It'll just be love, right? That's and I'm going like way far into the end of this whole explanation. Let's go back to finding the teacher, okay, and serving them. So step 1, the source of all my good, is the very, very first step. And the Lamrim is divided into the source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord, bless me first, to see that taking myself to him in the proper way is the very root of the path. It's the very root of the path. And then the rest of the long rim is what you're supposed to do about it. Okay? So, yeah, so the first part is finding and serving the Lama, and the rest of the long rim is everything else. So that's another way to understand the importance of finding and serving a Lama, right? To complete all the steps to enlightenment. I'm just going to give you one of Lama Marut's stories about about doing this. You know, he says that he was actually quite deep into his 40s when he finally found his Lama. And his Lama is Geshe Michael. And he asked him formally to be his guru, and Geshe Michael agreed. And he figured that, great, now I have this guru, I can like phone it up whenever I want, and he'll answer all my problems and tell me exactly what to do, and I'm going to get enlightened, right? Well, I don't know if any of you have been around Geshe Michael, but he's usually surrounded by an entourage. There's usually hundreds of students at any one of his teachings, and it's really hard to get to him. That's not that hard, but it can be. It can feel that way. I know the very first time I met him, it felt that way. So Lama Marut goes to one of his colleagues and says, like, what's going on? He said he was going to be my guru, and I can't even get time with him. And his colleague said to him, well, have you put the causes into place? You have the karma for him to be your guru, but did you put the causes into place for him to give you time? So what he did do, and of course, Geshe-la promptly goes into 3-year retreat. Lama Marut asks him to be his guru, he agrees, and then Geshe-la goes away for 3 years, right? Which actually happened to a few people here. They asked my teachers to be their teachers, and then my teachers went into 3-year retreat. So you kind of got stuck with me and John for a while, right? But teachers do that. They'll do stuff like that. So then what Lama Marut did, and we are the beneficiaries of this, he traveled the world and taught ACI for 3 years straight. And in those travels came here and really helped set 3 jewels up for what we are now in terms of the depth with which we're able to teach ACI. Yeah. So Lama Marut did that for his Lama and blessed us with that. And then you know what? Geshe-la gets out of 3-year retreat, and within 3 months, he's in Lama Marut's living room, coming out of the bathroom with the toothbrush still in his mouth, like talking to him, and Lama Marut's like, I don't need to see that. You know, like from going from having no access to his guru is now like coming out talking to him with a mouthful of toothpaste, you know? So, yeah, you know, Lama Marut served hard and continues to, and is remarkable, and he now has the hundreds of students, you know, all over the world for him. So it's pretty amazing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
What did you mean by create your teacher?
Ha! That's the whole rest of the class.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question though, because we think, okay, so the source of all my good is my kind Lama. I need to find a Lama. Where am I going to get a Lama, right? And, you know, do I order one from Tibet? Do I have to go to India? Because that's the new Tibet, right? The holiness is in India now. Like, do I have to go to India? And do I have to go, you know, or can I order them on chapters.ca? Or like, how do I get myself one of these, right? And the thing is, your teacher is never someone that exists outside of you self-existently. They are not a teacher from their own side. The teacher for you is someone that you create by putting in the causes for you to be able to be taught. So the very fact that I'm sitting here theoretically teaching you does not make me your teacher or does not even make me even able to teach you anything in these 2 hours that we have together. If you learn anything from me, you're not actually learning from me. You're learning through me. And your seeds, your karma, the causes that you planted before you even ever sat down in this classroom, ripen in a way that you're able to understand some of what I'm saying in a way that it's meaningful to you. And I'm not saying understanding my accent or understanding the words that I use, understanding what I say in a way that is helpful to you somehow. And that comes from you, not from me. So you're creating me every second that I am speaking. And not just because I'm staring at you and speaking towards you right now, but everything you hear coming out of me, if any of it is reaching your heart at all, that's coming from you. That's how you are creating me in every moment. I mean, His Holiness could be sitting right here, and if you don't have the seeds for it, you'll just be bored. Or you'll be thinking of, what am I going to have for dinner once I get out of here? Or, or I could be watching TV right now. And it's like that. Yeah.
Because you're empty, and the Dalai Lama is empty, and the pen is empty?
Yes. Exactly. And the Buddha, I'm going to take it one step further. The Buddha said that, and I said earlier, all a Buddha can do is teach, right? The historical Buddha lived 2,500 years ago, and according to records, he passed, right? So the historical Buddha is not physically here right now to teach you. But enlightened beings are infinite. Enlightened beings cross time and space. How is the Lord Buddha going to get through to you unless he has someone like me to come through? Right? So what the Buddha is saying is that anyone who's teaching you anything is representing me. That's a bit of a leap, and that's a hard one for someone like me to say, okay, you've got to regard me as the Buddha, because, I'm telling you this stuff, right? Like, that's not, and from a teacher's side, that's not going to work for me. Certainly not going to work for you. But if you can see that what you're hearing is not coming from Sherry, but is coming from the Buddha, that works magic for you. Because I'm empty, because you're empty, because the words are empty, and they're full of pure potential. So, there's nothing wrong with just listening to the class and getting the information. It's more information, that's fine. But if you can take that leap, and at the beginning it takes just a suspension of disbelief at the beginning, and not closing yourself to the possibility, but just leaving yourself open to the possibility that what if God were one of us? What if the Buddha really is here right now, but we just don't have the eyes to see him with the bump on his head and the big ears and all of that, right? But what if he is reaching us through the words that are coming through Sherry's mouth? What if? I can't prove to you that he is, but I cannot prove to you that he isn't either. So, isn't it more groovy to act as if? How cool is that? By your very question, the Buddha just asked me a question. That's so cool, I don't know about you, but it kind of gives me a thrill. Yeah, like that. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
So, there is what you've just asked about. You are asking about karma. You are asking about what are the causes I need to put into place to ripen, to create, to appear in my world as my teacher. That's another word for create, a ripening. What is the seed I have to plant to ripen as a teacher in my world? Okay, so that's the karmic cause and effect, planting a seed so that it brings us what we want. And the karmic relationship of a teacher and a student is a really important one to understand. And there is a karma between being a good student and having a good teacher, and being a good teacher and having good students. By the way, a good teacher is a good student. And a good student goes to a teaching not only to learn the information, but to learn how to teach it to others. So that's the wonderful thing about Dharma classes that I find very different from like my university classes or any other classes I've ever gone to, or even any other books I've read, like bestsellers and stuff. I read them, put them on the shelf, or give them away, never crack them open again, right? But Dharma books, like The Source of All My Good, I can go back to again and again and again, and they're not books for infotainment or entertainment or just information. They become family. They become living relationships, actually, because they don't have the power from their own side, but within those words are the keys to unlock all the magic within yourself. And that's the one thing I found about Dharma teachings is that I remember, like in school, like if you take one course, you don't take it again and again and again, right? Like you take it, you move on. And I think when I first approached the Dharma, I kind of approached it the same way. Like if I took ACI 1, I wasn't going to go to ACI 1 again. But now that I've been teaching, and some of these classes I've taught more than 3 times, each time I go to teach it, is like the first is even better than the first time. Like there's so much that gets revealed each time. And when you have different ears to hear it, you hear at different levels. Like they say that the Buddha, when he taught like his 3 turnings of the wheel, you'll hear of this in historical Buddhist studies, they kind of set the scene, and even like the Diamond Cutter Sutra, or even the Heart Sutra, once I heard this teaching, that's how it starts. That's the English translation of Evamaya Sutram, is just once I heard this teaching, the Buddha was sitting on Vulture's Peak in the Keep of the King. Around him were a great gathering of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's how it starts in English. And so it's these narratives about how Buddha was teaching and there was all these people in the audience, right? What they say is that the Buddha actually didn't teach 3 times, he taught once. And it was the different levels of beings that could hear the different teachings that he was giving. Like the words were the words, but the people who had the ears to hear, the heart to hear the different levels of teachings got it. I don't know how many of you came to the Master Shantideva courses on the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, but you remember how there's controversy between whether there's a 9th or a 10th chapter, because not everybody in the room heard it, because he started levitating, and Master Shantideva, as he's teaching this great guide, starts levitating, and some of the advanced practitioners in the room could keep up with him to a certain point, and others didn't hear the 10th chapter at all, right? Didn't have the karma for it. So it's like that, where there is a karma involved in all of this. And so it's important to know what the karma is for a teacher. So here's some of the basic ones. One of the most important causes for finding a good teacher is being a good student. And how you be a good student is to be respectful and appreciative of whatever teacher is in front of you and whatever they're teaching you. It's a good first step. Because isn't it true that in our Western mind we're so used to dissing, like our mind automatically wants to argue? Yeah, but wait. I disagree with that. Like, we really want to argue, right? Like we want to be right. We want to disagree. We want the teacher to be wrong somehow. Well, then why are you even there, right? But it's just, I've watched my mind do that. I think it's just, again, in some of this independent training that we've been given in the West isn't helpful, because it's the exact opposite karma for attracting a good teacher. So first step, understand what is being taught and learn it and put it into practice. And so So this is the second step. So the first step is to be appreciative and respectful. And then the second step is whatever you learn, try to put it into practice, which is what we keep saying here, like teach the pen thing to somebody this week, you know, to the best of your ability. So here's the basic laws of karma that you should remember. Sometimes they're given in a laundry list of 4, sometimes they're given in all these things, but I really like the way Lama Marut said this. So if you want something, here's the first rule. If you want something for yourself, make sure that others get it. So if you want a good teacher, make sure that other people have access to a good teacher and that you are a good student. If you don't want something, because that's usually the two things, right? We either want something or we don't want something. If you want something, make sure others get it. If you want a good teacher, make sure others have access to a good teacher and that you're serving, because that's the karma to get a good teacher, right? If you don't want something, never, ever, ever do it to anyone else. Okay? And the third thing is that you have something already and you want to keep it. Make sure you give it away, or at the very least, share it. Those are the 3 most important things to remember about karma, about planting the right seeds. Let's turn this on again. I shut it off because we were meditating, but it's very warm in here. Thanks, Leonardo. Yeah, just twist it. No, the round thing at the back. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Is that too high?
Maybe a little lower. There you go.
That's
That's
3,
good.
2, and 1. I just saw it. Okay, it's on 2. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So the 3 basic laws of karma. If you want something, make sure others get it. If you don't want something, don't do it to anyone else. And if you want to keep something, share it. So, so here's the thing. The real homework here, I don't think it's today's class, but the real homework for this course, after we learn, we're actually given a whole bunch of beautiful metaphors for a teacher from Geshe-la. Things like, you have to be like an old temple gong, and I'll explain what that is another time, and you have to be like a bowl of candy or something like he gives all these different metaphors that we'll unpack. But what you're supposed to do is, for each one, say what it means for you, and then it's like the 6-time book, right? But instead for this, there's a TDFO column to do for others. And so what you're doing is the teacher you want to be or the teacher you want to attract, and what are you going to do for others to create the causes to get this for yourself? And that's basically the way we set our personal homework to get a teacher. So if we want a teacher who's good in this way, then what are we going to do for someone else so that we can create that teacher for ourselves? That's the way the homework works in this course. It's really cool. Okay, just a little bit more of a laundry list. Geshe-la gave 6 reasons why, this whole thing about getting your teachings live, he uses the word blessings, like you get blessings from a live teaching, and he lists 6. So the first one is that you receive the blessings of a lineage. This particular lineage goes back 2,500 years. We can trace it. You can look at that little poster at the bottom of the stairs, in case you're curious. I can't cite you each of the names all the way through. I can cite you the big ones, but we can trace it. Second one, masters, teachers, lamas, gurus, lords. You can put your favorite word in there. Teach you the pitfalls and warn you in advance. Lama Marut says, we who have taught a lot have made a lot of mistakes, and we can teach you what to avoid. They can save you from doing something the wrong way, which is the same thing. Third one, they can show you tricks that cannot be found in books and recordings, actually, based on their own personal experience, right? When you find a living master, you have a companion for life. When you find, this is number 5, when you find a real master, suddenly you enter a whole different world. So this is a direct quotation. They know everywhere to go. They know everyone who is close. They have resources. Resources. That part is true. That part is true. I know from my teachers, they're, and some of them are more encyclopedic than others, but they are the resource that I go to get answers to my Dharma questions. In fact, when I teach classes, there's one Lama I go to who is the source of all of the transcripts, which is remarkable, actually. Yeah. And luckily, I've planted the karma for that by doing a lot of transcribing for Geshe, for Lama Marud. You know what? I transcribed like a fiend for 5 years, and then the year that I was asked to teach all the courses here, poof, I get sent a drive with all of the transcripts of all of the 18 courses. Like, I would call that a pretty magical thing. But I also know I planted the karma for that. Very, very specifically. I know I was given the opportunity to plant the karma for that. That's a karma in of itself. To even have the opportunity to do that, right? And so to appreciate it and acknowledge that as it happens. Number 6, they take you outside, beneath, and beyond yourself. Meaning that a master they stand outside of you, so they can help correct your faults. They can see your biggest potential. Like, you might not even think of yourself capable of certain things, and they can see it perfectly, So, but that outside, beneath, and beyond. Beneath is to have some humility. And beyond is that the teacher is really, you want to pick a teacher who knows more than you, right? Like, why pick a teacher who knows less than you? It's, so you really do want someone who can push you to where you need to go. So that's the 6 reasons why there's blessings from a live teacher. So the thing, Louis, you asked the question earlier about creating, or you heard me say the word create, so you wanted clarification. I'll give you some more clarification on that. This whole thing about hooking a guru or getting a teacher, and you know how I said earlier, like, what is it, you have to go to India to get a real guru, and that's not it, right? The way to create your teacher is to serve anyone. And I gotta tell you, this is my own personal experience. Lama Marut gave me this bit of advice personally. When I was in my first year of teaching Tibetan Heart Yoga, Tibetan Heart Series 1, actually. It was Tibetan Heart Series 1 teacher training, and I was helping in the training. And Lama Marut came into town to teach the Yoga Sutra part of it. And I had just finished my Bodhisattva Vow course, and my instructor at the time said to me, you should go ask Lama Marut about the Tantric series of classes. And I'm like, I'm only halfway through my ACI. Why am I asking about Tantric courses, right? But because this person who I regarded as a teacher, who I respected, said, you should go ask him, I went and I asked him. But I went and I asked him and I said, Lama Marut, so I just finished taking this class, and you know who my teacher was? Well, they said that I should ask it. They said that I should ask you this. I don't really know what I'm asking you, but I'm asking. And he said to me, so funny, he probably was shaking his head at this, right? Like, I was so dharmically naive when I went to ask him this. I just knew that I didn't know what I didn't know, and that I'd been given advice to ask for clarification. So what he said to me was, Sherry, here's the thing. Just serve. Don't worry about Tantra. Don't worry about Sutra. Keep doing your ACI and just serve. serve your teacher. And I said, but I don't know who my teacher is. He said, oh, just serve Yvonne and Roger, who happens to be my teachers. But, you know, at the time, they were just Yvonne and Roger. And they were the ones that were guiding me the whole way. But he said, serve 3 jewels. Serve them. They started 3 jewels here. And I'm like, I could do that. And I reported back that this is what Lama Marut said. And I said, great, we need a ride to Seattle. So, because they were going to Diamond Mountain 3 times a year to bring back the teachings for us. So I did that. And I never stopped serving, actually. I started teaching because they asked me to. And, you know, but for me it wasn't, oh God, like, I have to do this. You know, it wasn't a chore. The service part wasn't a chore. The service part was, Lama Marut said, this is the ticket. This is what I need to do to get what I think I want, right? And he did warn me. He said, you do this, then the tantric path will come to you regardless of whether you decide later that you don't want it or not. Like, you will plant the karma for enlightenment to come, like, to happen, like, to be on this path. And if you just do this, right? Even if later you change your mind, you won't have a choice. It'll just happen. Like, your teachers will just appear, you know? Even if you didn't think you chose it, you did, okay? So it's like that. And fast forward to the last time Lama Marut came through on a book tour and we had some private time, and I said, I just have to thank you because you told me this like 6 years ago or whatever, and in my wildest dreams I would not have thought that I would be up here teaching now and, you know, doing all of this stuff. And I said, I always remember you telling me that don't worry about the 18 this courses, the 18 that courses. Yeah, keep studying, keep doing your thing, but just serve. And he turned to me and he said, do you know how many people I tell that to? I tell that to a lot of people, and most people don't hear it. Mm-hmm. So I am just very grateful that I have the karma to hear it, but it is as simple as that. So a lot happens, a lot of things ripen quickly. Your teacher karma shifts, and it's not all easy. I will warn you that once you start on the path, stuff that you need to clean up will be up close and personal. If you have anger seeds, they pop up, right? Like, if you have relationship stuff you have to clean up, that will show up. You know, like, all the stuff that you need to clean up to be able to be a teacher yourself will be magnified. But that's okay, because you will have teachers to help you navigate through all of that, right? Okay. So the other thing that Geshe-la and Lama Marut said in the first class was that you want to be clear on what it is that you want to learn. And I think I already alluded to that. Like, if you want to learn to play guitar, you don't go to a piano teacher, right? So if you want to learn how to end your suffering, then you need to find a teacher who can teach that. And that's what Dharma ultimately is. It's to teach you how to end your suffering and to be happy, ultimately, so that you can then in turn teach others how to be that, right? So what I forgot to do, I apologize, I'll bring it next time, is Lama Marut ended this class with a song. And oh, maybe I can pull it up, because I have the URL. And I have one of these magic little boxes here that, see, I couldn't have done this when I taught this class in 2006, but we can do it now. Yes. Yeah, Lama Marut is coming to Vancouver, if any of you don't know, on a book tour. And so he'll be here Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4 It's by donation, and then Saturday night he will be at the Unity of Vancouver. That's a ticketed thing, but don't let the ticket price deter you because no one's turned away, and he's definitely worth coming to hear speak. And so that will be from, the doors open at 7, and he'll talk at actually the doors open at 6:30, I think, and he'll talk at 7:30. It's at Oak and 42nd ish, actually. Yeah. So we're gonna do a kirtan set before he comes on, and a musician who's going to join us has been so inspired by the book. And there's an Emily Dickinson poem towards the beginning. She has set it to music, so we're going to perform "I'm Nobody." It's a gorgeous song. Wait till you hear it. Okay, I'm almost finished typing in the URL. It's a really long one. Let's hope it still works, because this was many years ago. How long do things stay on YouTube?
You can't be from YouTube.
I'm not sure I've ever been on YouTube. Typing in 6. There, okay, 2, 4, J, H. Okay, let's see if that works. Oh, no server. Where's the server? Yes, there's a server. Okay, let me try this again. This was the one thing that I didn't prepare in advance, but there is music for almost every class. Because the second time this was taught, I don't know how many of you know Alexander Muir from Seattle. Lama Alexander came through and taught this also, and he's very much a music guy. And so he added his own twist to, so I have a more tuba song for you next time.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, but today, okay, here we go. This is Lamaji's song for class number 1. It's Bob Dylan. Okay.
She used the stand for the...
Oh, I should put it in this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses the word Lord too. So it wasn't just Jason Kappa.
Very cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of Dharma music, I gotta tell you.
This is funny because I go to this church on Sunday, which is right across the street where I'm staying right now.
Yeah.
And the preacher was brought this up, this song, and actually played it. Yeah. And he was saying how important his service is.
Yeah.
So it's more
So,
than one religion.
and you know, it's absolutely in more than one religion. And actually, what I'm teaching here is not religion. It has to do with universal truths that work for people. And we just happen to come from a Buddhist background, so our sources are primarily Buddhist scripture. But if you roll it right back to the emptiness of all of it, there's just what will prove to make you happy and what won't. And this is one of the things that will work to make you happy. So whether you hear it from a Christian standpoint or an Anglican standpoint or a Jewish standpoint or a Buddhist standpoint or a Hindu standpoint, it doesn't matter. It's whatever speaks to your heart, right? But yeah, I never realized the song was so long. Like, he really goes into all the different. Someone else played a song for you. Like, it was not funny. Like, it's interesting. There's something to that.
Well, Dylan had some really interesting things to say.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, that was our musical ending to the song.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're right.
Every week there's a song.
Every week there's a song.
Oh, that's so fun.
Well, at least for the first couple of weeks.
Can we dance to them?
Absolutely.
Good.
Okay, kids, that's class.
Wow.
Any other questions?
So the homework is to memorize the first stanza.
Yes.
And
There are other homework questions, so I can email it to you, Leonarda. Or, hold on, class 1. I'm gonna scan this.
Okay.
This is, there's actually 7 homework questions. This is the answer key. So,
That's nice.
what I need you to do when you get this is to not look at the answer,
Right.
okay? And you can do that. You can just, you can memorize it and then do that. Our homeworks are open book anyways. But what I will do is I'll scan this and email it to you, so we'll have it for next time. But isn't that interesting? I guess I don't have the questions separate. Plus, you know what? This whole hard drive crashed at Diamond Mountain several years ago, so this material isn't available anymore. So luckily, this particular course was taught by us a few times, so I have printouts, and I can scan them and create digital files. So
What am I supposed to send to Lou and Sean? You asked us about
the links, yes, to Alexander Burson.
Oh, and you're going to send me those, right?
I will send you that.
So, I'll put your emails again. I have the Sean back.
And
if you like them, I'll send them to you.
Can you send me the homework?
yes, absolutely. So does Leonardo have your email? Okay.
On the weekend. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, please. I was here for the Tibetan Cardio teacher training.
Oh,
So,
fantastic!
What was that, Sean? Sorry.
He was here for the teacher training.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
love that series.
He's a good Ujjayi breather. He is totally a good Ujjayi.
And lotus poser.
I was right beside him the whole time.
Excellent.
So,
It's really hard for me to get access to the computer.
I can share with you.
You can share them?
sorry, is that how you spell your name?
Does that only?
Oh, I'll let you come on, okay? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just leave it,
Okay. Because my one crashed.
Let's see.
Well, I can give my email, but
Whatever
I
you
don't know when I'm
comfortable.
going to check it. That's
Yeah,
the
so
thing.
then I'll just give it to Sean and is
Okay,
that okay?
sure. Yeah.
Unless you wish, it's your wish. Whatever you would like.
No, that's good.
Okay.
Let's see.
I mean, I was doing victoriag@gmail.com. She's doing that. Is that right? Did I put the right name? Yes. Okay.
Louis, you can have that. That's the one set of the readings of
Thank
the
you.
magic. Let me see if I have another one here.
Are these the? I have a set
She's got a copy
You do too?
from a teacher training 2 years ago.
Excellent.
I love this.
You can have that
Thank you
set.
very much.
Is that the same that you're just giving?
Is it The Magic of Empty Teachers?
Yes. The same.
Yes.
In the 1 pages?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the 5 pages, whatever?
Yeah.
So is it
Yeah, they have the bonus long playing dance version though that has the transcripts of the of his teachings too, because it's actually 75 pages. So you might want to take a photocopy.
Okay,
of
well
that.
then, yes, maybe I'll do that.
But here, let me see if I've got one more, because if I do, then you can scan it.
I can photocopy a set for Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just print it.
Of course I can. Of course. You'll just let me know.
Yes,
Sort of
yes, I'll let
awesome
you
about
know.
it. Yeah,
Sure.
I would.
Get it by
When
this
the hard
Friday.
drive
So
crashed,
grateful.
Did they lose files permanently?
Yeah.
So are some of those
It was incredible because there's so many technically proficient people down there that if anyone could have repaired it, they would have. But yeah, it was a bad crash. Actually, Sean, can you, Leonarda, can you scan these?
Scanning will be hugely crazy, long time, but I could do it if you would.
No. But do you want a copy of that
Oh,
for yourself?
I would photocopy it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then why don't you take that and make yourselves a photocopy
Okay.
and then give that copy back
You-
to Sean next
Do you
time?
mind? Okay.
And then that way you'll all have copies.
Perfect. So Sean's double checking that I've got you. Just need it in contact from.
Yeah, I need to put
Alright.
my. I don't know if you have my new email address.
Oh, maybe not. Have you been getting any of my Lama Maroot stuff?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
Do I just want to make sure you do. I got a couple of Joel's things. I gave them my new address before, but I just want to make sure you have it because.
Okay. Are we still recording?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Everyone.
Should I turn it off? I'll turn it off. So sorry.
And then we'll do closing
I just want to
prayers.
make sure you do because